Reference, my brother is 19, I'm 26, and my now ex-fiance Hunter is 28. My brother was kicked out when he was 16 because our parents snooped through his phone and found out that he was gay. Connor had a birthday party last weekend, so we invited his friends over. They were all 18 to 22-year-olds drinking and playing games. Hunter and I were about to head out to let them have the place to themselves when Connor asked if he wanted to join them. I initially refused, a bit too old to be playing drinking games, but he insisted and Hunter thought it'd be fun to act like college students again. We all got pretty drunk and Connor had the idea of playing Never Have I Ever. A few rounds in, the statement, "Never have I ever cheated before," came up. Now's a good time to mention that Hunter is staunchly against cheating. His ex-fiancée cheated on him and it emotionally wrecked him. And unfortunately, as a lot of dumb, immature 17-year-olds do, I cheated on my boyfriend of 5 months. It was a stupid mistake, he found out and understandably ended things. This was almost a decade ago. I obviously learned my lesson and look back at the same time with shame, and obviously never cheated since. Well, my brother knows about this, so when I didn't drink, he went, "Hey sis, what the hell? You know you cheated on blank? You have to drink to that." My fiancé paused, looked at me, looked at him, and just walked out of the room. I followed him, tried to tell him that it was a stupid teenage mistake, but he wasn't having any of it and ended things on the spot. I'm numb. I'm heartbroken. He was my everything and more, and I still don't know how I'm going to move on. Connor tried to apologize, but I feel nothing but sadness and emptiness. This morning, I served him an eviction notice. He begged me to stay and said that he didn't mean to ruin my relationship and he just didn't think when he said those words. He ruined my life, after I raised and cared for him like he was my own. I feel so hurt. Am I the asshole for kicking my brother out, who our parents have previously disowned because he told my now ex-fiancé that I cheated 9 years ago? I'm 23. When I was 15, my dad died. My mom, 45, didn't wait too long to start over and moved her new partner in just 2 months later. My dad left everything to me and not a dime to her. They weren't married. My dad's will was so structured that she couldn't even challenge it, and she attempted to even ask me to pass over one of my properties to her to show my new dad that he was welcomed. I couldn't even if I wanted to, because my dad's will was specified that I must be 21 to have access to everything he left me. This dude has kids, 18 male and 19 female. Their ages now, and my mom prioritized them to keep him happy. I mean, she wasn't like abusive or neglectful, but she tended to favor them. They went on trips, and even if she didn't tell me not to go, she'd say something between the lines of, "Wouldn't you like to go to your grandparents? My dad's better." I mean, I'm not stupid, and I know that she didn't want me there. When I turned 17, she asked me to leave my own house because I kept fighting with her dude, and I also reminded him of whose house it was. When he wanted to play the man of the house, I also called him John Conroy. My grandparents told me to avoid the confrontation, so I went to live with them. My mom would visit me often and tell me how much she loved me, but that she needed to keep the peace at home. After college, I decided to check my properties and also the one that my mom was living at. I wanted to renovate it to rent it out since it's a good one and could help me afford my master's. I went there to inform my mom, but no one was there. Later, I found out they went on vacations. I called her, but she didn't answer, so I proceeded to change the locks, mainly to officially take possession. They arrived yesterday and couldn't get in. Of course, they called me, but I wasn't even in town. I went today because some renovation works will start in a few weeks. I was in the backyard and my mom came in furious, yelling at me saying how dare I do that. So we talked and I let them know that they have 2 weeks to leave. Her husband, an unemployed, self-employed, was furious. My mom and her stepdaughter started crying because the girl is pregnant. I'm sorry, but I made up my mind. My mom's family is shaming me and calling me an a-hole. Am I the asshole for changing all the locks in my house without letting my mom know? My husband, Jesse, 31, has been bringing home meals that his female coworker, Nellie, cooks for him. Now, I'm not the best cook and Jesse's made it clear, but he still eats what I cook every day. What I noticed with Nellie was that she tends to take every opportunity to point out how weak and tasteless my cooking is. Jesse would say nothing except steer the conversation towards something else they both relate to while I'm sitting there wallowing in my misery thinking about what she just said. Also, she once asked what was another chore I was good at, and Jesse said ironing his suits. She, in response, joked about having him send her a suit of his so he could see how good she is at ironing too. I rolled my eyes hard, but at least Jesse agreed that was weird. Last week, Jesse came home with a new meal she cooked. I told him I already cooked dinner and asked what he was going to do with the meal. He told me he was going to eat it for dinner. Not gonna lie, I was getting a bit irritated and he must have noticed because he said that he promised Nellie he'd eat it for dinner and that she asked him to take a pic of the empty plate later to confirm that he'd actually eaten it. I was baffled. Like, completely baffled at this. I told him one thing and one thing only. Told him that if he chose to eat Nellie's meal over the dinner that I cooked, then this would be the last time that I cook for him. He started moaning about how I was being unfair and putting him in a rough place. He stalled and didn't give a clear answer until I saw him walk past me later when I set the table and prepared for dinner. That's when he put her meal in the microwave. I felt so awful, I almost cried. I then told him from now on I won't cook for him anymore since he made his choice. I obviously pissed him off because he went off on me calling me childish and pathetic to make this about my ego. I got up from my chair and told him that I owed him nothing and that he made his decision and so did I. He snapped and said that this was ridiculous and that Nellie was just doing a nice thing for him while as my behavior was disgraceful and disgusting. He then went into the bedroom and I rushed after him, but he shouted, "Leave me the fuck alone." He then proceeded to shut the door and hasn't been speaking to me after that. His mom knew about the argument and called begging me to be more patient and not make any decisions I might regret later. She agreed that Nellie was overstepping and firmly believes that she's a problem and so I shouldn't be hard on her son. But my mother-in-law is incredibly biased, meaning in her eyes, her son is a saint who can do no wrong. So that's that. I feel like I overreacted and really messed it up by pushing him like that. Am I the asshole for telling my husband that I won't cook for him again if he chose to eat his coworker's meal over mine? I'm at a loss here, guys. Realistically, I know I'm in the clear. Legally, I'm in the clear, but I'm being vilified by my coworkers and I'm genuinely considering quitting my job because of this mess. So I work a pretty standard day job, and at night I help my friend at her restaurant, which serves an assortment of Thai cuisine. To be honest, I'm insanely picky, but I fell in love with this peanut sauce the main chef makes, and he showed me how to make it, so about once a week I take either noodles or stir fry to my job for lunch. People know this and a handful have tried it. It smells nutty, it tastes nutty, it's a white girl pad thai basically. Lately, my lunches have been disappearing, or I'll open my lunchbox and find half of my food missing. I've tried addressing it, but nothing has been changing, and I was pretty sure one of the new hires was doing it, but I had no proof. Until now. The other day I took my noodles and my entire Tupperware was missing, which hasn't happened before. I'm pissed, but what can I do? A coworker shared her pizza with me and that was that. Until today. My boss confronted me and accused me of poisoning my noodles because his daughter, one of the new girls, borrowed my lunch and had to be hospitalized. Turns out she's severely allergic to nuts, ate some and boom, anaphylaxis. She used an EpiPen, had to be hospitalized, and now her dad is trying to hold me accountable for her bills and condition, but I don't see it. Why should I pay? I don't mark my food as an allergen because I'm not allergic to it. She was just dumb enough to steal from me and eat something that she can't have. But he's being hateful, and some of my old coworkers are icing me out because I warned him I'd report any harassment to HR if he tried anything funny. Brown nosers, I guess. My friend is aware and offered me a full-time job, but I just can't help but feel it's unfair. At the same time, I could have killed his daughter though, so... Am I the asshole for sending my coworker into anaphylactic shock? I'm 17 and I have a sister named Emma, 22, and a stepsister, Yuna, 22. They never got along well. I literally grew up with my sister talking shit about Yuna and how she just had an easier life because she was pretty. It's never been a secret that my sister thought that, and our parents think that too, so whenever Yuna was here, no one really tried to make an effort with her because she has it easy. I did my best to change this as I grew up, but Emma never did. It actually got worse. Nevertheless, she's still my sister and I love her. Emma also has always been the golden child, so she always got away with lots of stuff. When they were 19, Yuna started dating this guy. I don't want to go into the details, but he was just no good at all. Through this, Yuna stopped working since he said that he wouldn't date a slut. Literally said that in front of us. No one, sadly including me, said anything. She started skipping classes, stopped going out with her friends, and coming to family dinners as often. It was really bad. Recently, they finally broke up though. I don't know what happened and it isn't my business nor anyone else's, but Yuna came to stay with us, so the three of us are living together with our parents again. On Tuesday, we all went out to have dinner when Emma started questioning Yuna about her relationship. Just being there was uncomfortable already, and Yuna would refuse to talk, so Emma kept insisting and our parents were pressuring her to talk too, which was awkward as fuck. It all escalated quickly, and soon enough, Yuna started crying and just left to go outside. I went with her and she was sobbing so violently, I legit thought she would have a panic attack or something. I stayed with her until her Uber came. She didn't want to go with the family, and then went back to the table and I was just raging. Now this is where I might be the asshole. I started screaming at Emma about how she's a bitch and how she knows how hurtful her questions were and how she's always done this, blah blah blah. I also screamed at my parents for allowing it, but mostly I just screamed at Emma. She didn't say or do anything at all and we ended up leaving. My parents are still mad at me and Yuna now, and I was punished. I can't see my friends for a few weeks and Emma just keeps calling me names. I'm not really sorry, but I know I could have handled it better or at least screamed in private, but I also know that I made a huge scene in public and hurt my sister. Am I the asshole for screaming at my sister in the middle of dinner? Storytime about when a customer only wanted a man to help her. When I was about 20 years old, I was a department manager in a big box hardware store. People said I acted 25, but I didn't even look 18. As a young female, I saw my fair amount of sexual discrimination, but the worst always came from women. This is the story of one such woman. I managed the paint department. I had 3 associates who worked for me. They loved me as a boss because I bought them a department radio and took the shifts that they didn't want. I worked Friday close and Saturday mid so my 2 younger guys could have time to have fun on Friday nights, and the older gentlemen took early Saturday mornings so they could sleep off their fun. In trade, I gave the older gentleman his ideal schedule. My team was awesome. One day I was in the department alone and a lady came up and asked me where she could find the 5-gallon oil-based primer. I let her know that my location didn't carry the 5-gallon size of that primer. She told me that we did and said that it was shelved right there, while suggesting I was too stupid to remember. I let her know that another location had exactly what she was looking for and that it was in fact in the exact location in that store. She let me know how stupid she thought that I was for thinking that she could mix up stores. Then she began yelling loudly, insisting that I get a man out there to help her because she wanted someone competent and not a stupid little girl. Her husband actually tried to step in at that point, but I just smiled and let her know that a male paying associate would be clocking in any minute and I would be happy to direct him to her as soon as he's on the clock. I smiled and waited for Joe to clock in. Joe was great and I knew that he could handle this or I wouldn't have put him in this situation, but Joe was also new. He was learning things super quick but still relied on the rest of us for help. When I saw Joe walking up, I quickly said that there was a customer who needed help. I let him know that she was super upset and asked him to do his best to answer her questions. Joe walked up to the lady. She said, "Finally, a man." She asked her question, explained where the product should be, and waited. Joe calmly let her know that he had never seen us carry 5-gallon size of oil-based primer, but said that he could check with the paint department manager. She was happy and loudly said that she was happy to be getting some real help. Joe walked up to me and started asking me about the 5-gallon oil-based primers. The lady quickly walked up and asked him what he was doing. He turned and said, "This is my manager. She runs the department." The husband laughed out loud, the woman stormed off, and I bought Joe lunch. I fucked up by telling my parents about my inheritance. My 36-year-old sister died 6 months ago from a heart condition. She practically raised me, so it's been pretty difficult to deal with. I'm in my final year of university and I've held every single class this semester. She'd be disappointed, but it is what it is. My sister never married and never had children. I lived with her near campus. She ran her successful side business and I got to help her out occasionally as a paid intern. She worked a lot but not to support us. She wanted to retire by the time she was 40. She would have been done in 4 years and her heart had to fail her first. When she died, her attorney read her will to me. She left everything to me. She had an extremely large amount of money put away for her retirement in side accounts for various activities for her retirement. I wasn't aware, but she had made several real estate investments so that she could continue living a comfy lifestyle once she retired. She left her 2006 Subaru to me and willed her current house to me as well. She had explained that she wanted to use this house for college housing eventually. This was all extremely overwhelming to hear. She left nothing to my parents, but as they didn't know that she had assets, they willingly paid for the funeral and any other associated costs. My sister was no contact with our parents and I'm very low contact. We are their only 2 children. At the funeral, my parents asked me how I was going to continue going to college without her money. They thought she paid for them. Psych, I have student debt. I told them that I'd continue to take out loans. They asked me about my living arrangements and I shrugged. At the time, I didn't know all the details anyway. Well, 2 weeks ago, I found out that my parents tried to sell my sister's house while I was still living there. They brought a realtor and toured the home and everything. It was all on the camera set up in the home. When I called them and informed them that I'd be calling the police, they explained the situation. I told them that it's my home and it was willed to me. They couldn't sell it. They were confused heavily. I told them to meet me at my attorney's at a set time. My attorney explained the will to my parents. My mother went white as a sheet and my father was grumbling about suing me for his rightful money plus the cost of the funeral. My mother began ugly sobbing, telling the attorney he was wrong. Her daughter would not leave the house to someone like me. The attorney cut the meeting short and now we're preparing for an inevitable lawsuit coming my way.